Okay, today is Thursday, December 28th, 2023, and the time is 7:07 in the evening. I am in bed and I just got out of therapy. I don't think I've talked about therapy on here before. I only have done 2 sessions by now, which is the most therapy I've done in a row in my entire life, and I'm in my 40s. So, we're still doing intake, so to speak, because she doesn't know me yet. And my therapist is a female. And our first time, she asked me questions to give her an idea about me. And I think that from that line of questioning, it helps her a lot, because by just that 1 hour, I felt so much better, so seen, so vindicated, so understood. And also, I think she's a good therapist also, She's young, she's hip, she's beautiful, she's stylish. I just love her energy. She's my kind of people. She's like badass, tough, take no nonsense type deal. And she is good at her job. And I consider myself very lucky that I have her, that she was assigned to me. So after that one session, I remember going to South Africa and being like, wow, just singing her praises. And I only saw her once. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm like that person who says my therapist this, my therapist that. Meanwhile, I only saw her once. Like, it was just 1 hour. Then the takeaway from that, for as long as we're talking, what her feedback is that it seems like I went through trauma in my life. I have a lot of trauma in my life. And I've experienced a lot of bullying type deal. Not like, I don't know how to explain it, but like bullying. I know you know what bullying is and it means, but that's not what I mean. Anyway. And like basically from my family. And, that kind of thing. I'm thinking, man, you ain't seen nothing yet. So, because the session was just before I went home to be with said family. So I was like, well, shit. Now I'm going to be looking at them like, you guys, I know what you did, And I won't go into full detail, obviously, but that happened. Then, anyway, I came back to America. I would have wanted to see her while I was in South Africa, but it was not to be. I needed her while I was there. I could have used her services, but also you're staying in people's homes and all that stuff, which I don't really intend on doing just right now off the top of my head. I don't know how I'm going to feel next time I go home to South Africa, but right now I think that it would probably behoove me to find my own place and visit everyone, or let them visit me at my place, and not be like, quote unquote, a burden upon them, even though they don't make me feel that way. But how I feel that's important. So some things happened. I'm much more aware now, alert woke to certain things just with time and getting older and all of that. And all the work that I've continuously been doing on myself, I'm much more like aware. So when things do happen now, my reactions may not necessarily be the same as what they would have been when I was younger. So I'm around the same group of people, but I'm a different person now. They've also evolved, thank God. So, even in parts where whatever their reputation I had of them, and also, everybody's changing, but like in a direction, like an upward trajectory. So yeah, there's all of that too. But I think that, yes, we're making all these changes that are positive, but at the same time, it's like the impression that we have of each other. So you're around the same people who think a certain way of you, but you're not that person anymore. And in some ways, being around them makes you feel a way that you've moved away from. So you're like, let's not. And you want to prove to them that you're not that person anymore. It's like all these pressures. So yeah. Then other things happened that are like new, so to speak. And I'm like, oh, so we have that now to deal with. Like, oh, great, new problem, type deal. So now that I'm back, I was like, let me arrange my next session, even if it's going to be beginning of next year. But wouldn't it be nice, today being the 28th, if I were to miraculously find a therapist, like a session before the end of the year? And I called them today, and they were like, yeah, let's hook you up. How about today at 6? I was like, oh, are you joking? They were like, yeah. So that was really nice. They got someone for me. And, well, not someone, the same lady, my therapist. I was like, can I have the same person? They said, yeah, of course, we'll always. I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking, of course. I mean, of course. Look, what are they going to bring somebody else to talk to? I don't even know why I asked that, but I asked it, so what am I going to do? And she came on right on time, beautiful as usual, just so colorful, red, big framed sunglasses. She's fabulous, dude. I was like, oh, it's so good to see you. Her nails are done in Christmas fun colors. I was like, this chick right here. And of course I said, you're a girl's girl, aren't you? That's not what I meant. And she said, I am a girly girl. I was like, oh shit, that's what I meant. But who cares? Like, Then she said, tell me some nice things. How was your trip? So I said, it went better. There was this way that I've been answering people who knew that I went home. That's like more diplomatic. But now I'm talking to my therapist, and it's a safe place to be honest. So I'm like, it's like a line. I'm like, I have to be careful that I'm not going to be politically correct, that I'm going to be honest, because we're doing the work here with this person. And so I told her, it went better than expected, because I was kind of anxious about it. And I said, I hate to use the word anxiety. So that was the key point of today, kind of. Because she said, what is one thing that you're concerned about, that you would like to talk about, or should I lead? And I said, just the one thing that's on my mind is how anxious I get. I'm like, I've noticed that I have a lot of anxiety. Like, I'll panic when there's something impending. Even if it's actually something good, like even today, like with my therapy, this is between you and I now. With my session coming up this evening, I was like, it's at 6 o'clock. Just remember, should I set an alarm? No, I'm not going to forget. What if I fall asleep? Oh my gosh. And I was like, oh my God, I have that thing that's coming up tonight. And I'm like, wait, it's a good thing. You don't have to do anything. Like, you could still be in bed with the heater on in your pajamas and talk to her like you're fine. You don't don't panic. And I was like, why am I panicking about everything? It could be like a fun trip that I have coming up, and I'm like, oh my God, okay. My brain starts scouring for things to worry about. Like, apparently that's not abnormal because the brain is a fixer, so to speak. And this is what I hear from people in general. And they say, like, the brain wants to find problems and fix them. So that's not abnormal. But yeah, I told her that that's like the thing. And she said, but why do you think that you were panicking? I said, I was excited about going on my trip, but, and then, one person is buying a house, one person is selling a house, different person, another person is moving from one house to another. And it's just, and I'm going to be staying with these people. I feel like I'm going to be a burden, that kind of deal. And this, again, between you and I, I'm not quoting what I talked about in therapy, but I'm like, this goes back to why I'm really considering not staying with people again. Because if you're in the process of moving or buying a house or whatever, if I'm on vacation and I come and I stay in the same town as you can still be buying your house or selling your house or moving or going to work. I have my own itinerary. You don't have to draw up an itinerary for us, for you and I. Well, you can, but I feel like I'm not going to feel that much pressure because I'm going to have my own plans. And then we can designate time for each other where we're like, okay, on those days, you know what I mean? Versus if I'm going to be at your house, you have to worry about where you're going to put the key. But if you're going to do this, but what about the key? What about that kind of thing? So, and she said, so I told her those things. She said, no, it makes sense why you would be anxious then in that regard. So that was nice. She's very comforting, but like not in a like fake rehearsed way, very genuine. And then I told her about, she said, tell me your life story because I'm learning about you. Start from young to old or jump around, whatever. So I said, okay, let me tell you what I remember. She said, tell me where you were living and who was there, etc. So I started when I was young and I told her that life. There was a lot of just like inappropriate behavior around me and all of that. There's a lot of in and out of people and a lot of moving around, a lot of instability, a lot of, there was poverty here and there, but I don't really look at my life like that. I feel like there were just patches where it's like, I don't know if poverty is the word, but it probably is. I'm just being defensive. And I don't want to like claim that for me. You know what I mean? And associate myself. I'm like in denial, I guess. So told her that. And I was like, so it was like, okay, from 1 to 7. And then from like, I'm a therapist, so I'm not telling you everything I told her, of course. And then from 10, 11, that's when I left my home to boarding school, to 5 years later. And then I told her my high school years. And then and I noticed as I'm talking to her, there was a lot of like feeling like people hated me. They hated me because everybody around me would say, that person hates you. So they hate, like, it was a known fact. And I noticed there's like an ongoing trend of just people not liking me. But there's also people right along that, because everybody's not going to love you, apparently. But these people who were important, it would be like the principal of the school who like would hate me with a passion. You know what I mean? I'm like 10 years old, that kind of deal. And people of like authority, there was that trend of just like, I already have a complicated relationship with my mom. It's fine now, but it was then. And I think the fact that it was then makes it, even though it's fine now, it has like an underlying just like weirdness Did I cry? Yes. There were 2 times where it was just so hard. I was like, shit. I didn't even think. I know that this is a sore subject. So when we got to it, I was like, oh, fuck. I can't. I was like, hold on, please. And it was just like breathing. She said, you're fine. There's going to be things that are like this. She's so comforting. Like, she's so amazing. Literally, in this literal sense, she is so good. Maybe not like, how are you amazing? Yeah, it's such an American term, but yeah. One instance, when it was, whatever, it doesn't matter when it was, whatever. But that one instance, just like, I was like, really, really stuck to me. And it's about a family member who I have such a great relationship with now. And I think that if they were to find out that that's one of the things that are so traumatic in my life, they would, man, they wouldn't even believe it. But I feel like this person really traumatized a lot of my family members. And I hope that she knows it from how everybody at one point or another has said that. But maybe they don't, because, you know, when it's you, you're like, it couldn't have been that bad. You know what I mean? And this person now is like one of my best friends. They're great. So, yeah, that was one instance. I was like, that time I was just like, oh my God. And then one of the most traumatic experiences of my life is not something that makes me cry when I talk about. It's like, whatever, dude. Like, really? So you try to kill me, like, who gives a fuck? Like, you didn't, so I won. Then, and it probably did traumatize me in so many ways, but I feel like I was already the person that I was going to be, and I don't, in my sober mind, when I think about that, knowing that it was the biggest, like if somebody's going to try to kill you and consistently hunt you down, try to kill you again, like, you know what I mean? That is crazy. But what are you going to do? Then that's not what made me cry. It's not the kind of thing that would make me cry. Even when I was young, like they used to beat us up, like the nuns at the school, just like with a hose pipe. And I just realized now that I'm in America, they call it a pipe, a hose. That hose pipe is redundant. But anyway, they used to use a hose pipe to beat us up. I never cried when they beat me in school, because I used to be like, who cares? That's not the thing that'll hurt me. Do something else. Do better. Then the other thing that made me cry, of course I'm not going to tell you, but what was it anyway? Oh, it's something that happened now. We were wrapping up the session, and I said to her, can I please tell you something? And she said, yeah. So I told her, quickly that this happened, and it was such like a main damper moment in like an emotional sense. It wasn't the worst. I don't want to say it was the worst thing that happened, but I feel like it probably was. It was like the down, when they talk about the rose and thorns, it was like such like a thorn of my vacation. And this is when I was staying with a different family member. I stayed with 3. I was with a different family member at the time. And that also cements why I don't want to stay with family again. And I really hope that I remember that I said this and I don't stay with family again next time, for everyone's sanity, really. So, yeah, when that came up, I was like, oh, it was such like a dark point for me. It was so dark. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I reacted like that to something that happened. And then they had a reaction, and I was like, oh my God, like I made them do this. It was tough. And so when I told this therapist, she said to me, Are you kidding me? It's totally understandable that that's how you were. And you weren't being a bad person. You weren't being a horrible guest or concerning or whatever. You were reacting to something that they did. They triggered you. And I thought, oh, shit. It made so much sense. Not because it's taking away the responsibility from me, from ownership of something that I did. She's right. I was just being a girl on vacation. And somebody said something, and it put me on a downward spiral. And I thought to myself, man. And from then on, around that time, I've just been saying, like, it was like a thing that I was saying to my sisters, that, like, I was in an abusive relationship, right? In a marriage that was short-lived and shitty. And I know I just sounded weird there. I'm not crying. I don't know why the voice came out like that. Since then, I just thought to myself, damn, like, I would consistently say to one of my sisters now during this break, I would say to her, like, I am not emotionally stable enough to be in an abusive relationship, like, again. Like, I can't. And I would say that a lot. And I was around a few people who are triggers. And I thought to myself, I shouldn't be here. Like, how do I get out of here? I remember one of my sisters even said to me, I don't know what I was talking about. And she said, I don't even know. I don't know. But her question to one of the things, because I like to have, like, deep conversations, as you may tell. And she said, this one sister, is that why, to something that I had said, is that why you moved so far away? And it was so interesting that she asked that. I don't know why this is like making me a little emotional. I feel like because, and I'm going to be, it's probably dismissive of my feelings to say what I'm about to say, and you're going to be surprised to hear this. You can tell, I guess, I'm going to therapy. My periods are due definitely today, and lately they've been coming a couple of days before the 28th day, because the cycle is from my understanding, the first day of your period, you start counting 28 days. Your next period is going to start exactly on the 28th day from the first day of your previous period. That's my understanding of the cycle. And for a decent amount of time, I was regular. But recently, I think that's like change of life. What is it called? Because of my 40s, I noticed that, like, it would be 1 or 2 days before the 28th day, which is not too bad. But for somebody who was like clockwork. So today is my period day, which it hasn't happened yet. So that's already, for my standards, it's like late at this point. And I'm like, damn, I just bought all these tampons. Like, am I gonna never have periods again? Which I wouldn't hate for me, but do I have to hold on to that receipt? Like, at what point do you stop having periods? Do you just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm returning these tampons? Or do you like hold on to them in case you have a guest that has periods in the future? I don't know. So I'm like, I know that my feelings are valid, and it does make sense that I get emotional over the things that I get emotional over, whether I'm hormonal or I'm not. But I learned today that I have this thing of just like diminishing my feelings of something. I think because I was dismissed so much throughout my life. And now I know when it's happening. Like, wow, you just shut me down. Wow, that was, like, I get it now. I'm like very aware. Thank God. It happened. I was thinking about that today. Like, wow, I was talking about something with family and somebody literally shut it down. It happened more than once during this trip because, these are the people who being around them, who raised me, who made me be the person that I am today, even though I haven't lived with them in decades. They already formulated me into being the person that I am. So of course they're guilty of those things. Like, if I were to use the word guilty, whether they're doing it aware or not. So when I was talking about those experiences to the therapist, just going through my life, she said, one other thing that I want to talk to you about is you make excuses for people. I was like, do I? And I immediately know what she's talking about, because it's that thing that I say of, like, I get it. I was probably overreacting because of my hormonal, you know what I mean? Like, I'll diminish my standpoint of it and try to, because I also want to be accommodating of somebody else and see things from the other person's perspective. It's something that I do try to do, but I think it's like a line that you have to tread. Is it tread or thread? What was I thinking about now that made me be emotional? Yeah, it felt nice to be understood and I went over like a lot of things that some of them I was like, oh yeah, that person was in the car with us. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. You know what I mean? And it's something that I talked about recently, and I was surprised to remember that actually there were other factors to a certain story. Anyway, it's amazing how you tell a certain story a certain way. You're not lying, but you omit certain things to make the story not as ugly as it is all your life. When you do tell it, even though you don't really tell it, you know what the full details are, but you protect yourself and the people around you by telling it in a way that you put lipstick to a pig, as they say, or perfume to a pig. And then you go to therapy, and now you have to be, it's a safe place that you're supposed to open up as much as possible in order to get rewarded similarly. But it's like, do I dare go there? It's like, such a fine line. Anyway, I told the story that is the story of my life to her, and I kind of told it how I always tell it. And I'm like, is it going to make any difference in whether I get helped or not if I show the story to be as in a light that I feel like? And I'm like, who cares? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. Right now, I'm just going to go with like comfort. And I think that she's so experienced and so understanding. And at one point, if I feel like maybe I feel safer to go deeper, then we'll do that. But for now, I think that she has the gist. But yeah, she said to me, pause, we'll continue next time. But I want you to know that what you have, I don't think it is anxiety for sure. Of course you have anxiety. Look at how much trauma you had in your life. She said this when she first talked to me for 1 hour before. And now that I've told her so many, I even thought to myself, oh my God, should I add some like really good stories in here? I feel like I'm telling her so many negative things. But it's my life. And it's not even everything. It's amazing how fast an hour goes when you're in therapy. And she didn't do like for 5 minutes. She literally did exactly an hour, thank God. I feel like she gave me a bonus couple of minutes there, because these things are never like really an hour. Like an hour's massage is usually 45 minutes to 50, maybe 45, But it's called 1 hour, but it's not. So, yeah. And they want to wind up and wind down to it, the massage. Like, oh, blah, 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 soak here in this water for 10 minutes. No, don't soak me in fucking water. I had water at home that I soaked in. Give me a fucking massage for my 10 minutes. Otherwise, give me a 10-minute discount. She said to me, you might have more than just anxiety, but we'll talk some more. But I want you to think about this. There might be some PTSD in there. And I thought, oh my God. she said, because I was like, I feel like I'm becoming more and more aware of how anxious I get. She said, it's not just, she said, I don't think you're starting to have anxiety. I think you're becoming aware of what it is called, this thing that you've been having, and you've probably had it all your life. There was too much instability and, wow. And anxiousness, in your life since you were young. So, and all the stories that you've told me about, we're not even done yet. Of course, you probably have PTSD as well. So yeah, it's like a vindicating in a way, because you talk to people and you're just like, it's mental illness, right? You can't show somebody, you can't open up your mind and say, look what a lot is going on in there. It's real. I'm not making this up. I'm not just PMSing. I'm not just sensitive. I'm not just this. I'm not a weak bitch. I'm not a difficult person to understand. I'm not making things up. I am not just a lazy, these things are really happening. I'm really struggling. I really do need to take an early retirement and just like to take a break. I really need to do these things. These things are real. It's fine. It's recommended that I do the things that I'm doing. Wow. I'm so thankful. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for listening. I have 3 stores on eBay currently. Wow, I talked to you for 30 minutes. The Lovely Brook is one of them. Tracker Brook is one of them. And My Brook is another one. Oh, I need to call Social Security. I guess I don't have to call. I have to make an appointment. Oh my gosh. Anyway, see, just gave myself anxiety about something else. So that's that. And then I have a blog, babalabrook.com. I'm at babalabrook on all my socials. And last but not least, I'm on YouTube as well as babalabrook. Thank you. I wish you well wherever you are.